What is going down, guys? In this tutorial I'm going to be teaching you how to display the current live date and time on your web page using JavaScript, HTML and also using a little bit of CSS for the styling of your date and time. So guys, without further ado, let's get straight to it. So you're going to need to start off by opening up your preferred text editor, which I already have done, and I've saved this file as index.html in a new folder on my desktop. I've also typed out the bare bones of a HTML document as well. So within the title tags then, we're going to give this web page the title of displaying the live date and time, because that's what this tutorial will be teaching you today. Underneath the title tags, we're going to add a link tag, link rel equals style sheet, href, which is the link, is css/style.css, and close the link tag. Then underneath that link tag, we're going to add the script tag. Script type equals text/JavaScript. src, or source, is equal to js/scripts.js. And then we close the script tag a little bit differently to the link tag, as you would do a normal HTML element. So rather than basically having the JavaScript within this document, this HTML document, we're going to put all our JavaScript within an external document called scripts.js, which is going to be placed within a JS folder, which is short for JavaScript. Now within the body, which is our main content, we're going to add a div ID equal to clock display. Make sure the D on display is capital, camel cased, that's important, and the class is equal to container. Close the div tag. So the div ID, which is equal to clock display, is what we're going to be targeting within our JavaScript. Okay, so normally you'd put content within the div tags, but we're not. We're going to leave it completely empty for now. So file, save, and if we open up this file in our preferred browser, which for me is Google Chrome, current date and time, index, and as you can see I've already created a JS and CSS folder ready for my JavaScript and CSS files. When we open it up, you can see nothing's on this web page at the moment because we've got no content. So we're going to create a new file now, and this is going to be our JavaScript. This is where the content will start to appear. The date, and this is where we basically create the date and time. So we're going to save this in our JS folder as scripts.js, and then within here we're going to start off by creating a function. So function space render time, and then within here, within this new function that we've created, which is render time, this is what's going to trigger and cause our function to run. Okay, when this function is called, our date and time will run. So we're going to add a new variable called myDate equals new date. Okay, create a new variable called year, which is equal to myDate, which we've just created just above, dot get year, and this will get the current year and store it within the variable called year. So then we're going to add in a quick if statement. Now basically this is just going to say that if the year is less than 1000, then it's basically then the year will basically be, we'll get 1900 added onto it. Now I don't know why that is. It's some technical fault, it's some technical issue within JavaScript itself, because JavaScript was created in the 1990s and created in a hurry. It sometimes messes up as far as the year goes if you don't have that if statement in. So just put that in there. I don't fully understand the concept myself. Then we're going to create a new variable called day, which is going to be equal to myDate.getDay, then which is going to obviously retrieve the day and store it within the variable day. Then we're going to do the same for month, create a variable called month, which is going to be equal to myDate.getMonth. And then we're going to create a new variable called dame equals myDate.getDate. And this will actually get the day of the month, hence why we've called it day M, which stands for day of the month. Little abbreviation there. Then we're going to create a new variable called day array, and this is going to be equal to a new array, and inside this new array we're going to add in 7 lots of quotation marks, each separated by a comma. And in here we're going to add Sunday, then we're going to add Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and Saturday. These are obviously the days of the week, and this is so that we are able to display the day of the week. Otherwise we won't be able to do that. It won't work properly. Okay. So yeah, so then we're going to add a new variable now, and we're going to call this month array, similar to the day array. So equals new array, except this time we're going to add in 12 lots of quotation marks, one for each of the months within the year. Again, each one separated by a comma. And obviously we're going to add in here January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. And this is so that we are able to display the month as a word rather than a number. For example, January would be displayed as 01 or 1. But instead of that, we are able to display it as a word instead of a number, which I think looks more user-friendly, and I just think it looks less boring to display the month as a word. But it's entirely up to you. You can have it displayed as a number if you want. It's completely up to you. You can mess around with this code after this tutorial by all means. Okay, so I think that's it then now. Yeah, that's it for the date. So now we've got everything we need. We've created all the variables that we need now to create the actual date. So I'm just going to add in two little comments here, a few little comments, just so that you know that this is the date section. Okay, this is the section that's going to be used to retrieve the current date. So in the new section now here, all part of the same function, but in this new section is going to be for time. Okay, so I'm just kind of splitting it up into two little sections here within this function, just to make it easier for you to understand. So now we're going to create a new function, a new variable called current time equals new date, similar to what we did before. Then we're going to create a new variable called h, which is going to be equal to current time dot get hours. Obviously h stands for hours. Then we're going to create a new variable called m, which is going to be equal to current time dot get minutes. M obviously stands for minutes, if you hadn't guessed by now. And then we're going to create another variable called s, which is going to be equal to current time dot get seconds. Obviously s stands for seconds. So yeah. So the next thing we need to do now is create some if statements. So we're going to say if h, which is hours, is equal to 24, then hours is going to equal 0. So in other words, when it goes, obviously 23 is 11, 24 would be 12, it goes back to 0, because it's like 0 AM, isn't it? It starts again. Because there isn't a 24 and a 24-hour clock, it goes back to 0. And then we're going to say else if hours is greater than 12, then hours equals hours minus 0. So yeah. So basically nothing is taken off. Nothing is taken off of the number basically, because we're going to have a 24-hour clock. If we weren't, then obviously if it's greater than 12, obviously we would minus a certain number to give us the 12-hour clock instead of 24-hour clock. Then we're going to create another if statement, and we're going to say if hours is less than 10, then hours equals 0 plus the hours. So there's going to be a 0 before. So for example, if it's 1 AM, it's going to state 01 colon 00 rather than just 1 colon 00. So it's more digitalized. So then we're going to create another if statement, and we're going to do the exact same for minutes this time. So if minutes is less than 10, then minutes equals 0 plus the minutes. Okay, and we're also going to do the same for seconds as well, obviously. So if seconds is less than 10, then seconds equals 0 plus the seconds. So for example, if there were 5 seconds, then it would state 05 or 05 rather than just 5. So again, it looks digitalized and it looks how it's supposed to look. It looks more professional and more like the actual time, digital clock. So underneath these if statements now, we're going to create a new variable called myClock, and this is going to be equal to document.getElementById, and we are going to target the ID of clock display. Now, if you remember, what we're basically doing here is we're saying in the document, the ID, okay, of the element that we want needs to be called clock display. So we're basically targeting, in other words, this div here, because this div ID is equal to clock display. So in our HTML, that's what we are targeting with our JavaScript, because this is where we want our clock, date, time, etc. to be displayed. We want it to be displayed inside this div. So we first of all need to target that div using JavaScript in order to put content within it. So that's what we've done there. We've just targeted that div, put a handle on it if you like. So now we're going to say myClock.textContent equals, and this is where we add in our content of what we want to be displayed within there. So we're just going to put 2 quotes to start with, okay, with nothing inside of them. And then what we need to do is we need to leave a space. And then we'll just quickly jump to this. We need to add in a plus day array in brackets day plus, and then another set of quotes, this time with a space in between, because we want to leave a space now in HTML, plus day m plus, and then space, 2 more quotes with a space between, and then space plus month array in brackets month plus, space, again 2 more quotes with a space in between, plus year plus, and then space, quotes, and within here I'm just going to put in a line, and you can find that in the bottom left of most keyboards, but you can put a dash in here or a slash, whichever you want. This is just going to separate the date from the time. And then we're going to leave a space, plus h plus, space, quotes, and in here we're going to put in a semicolon. We want that to obviously be displayed as text, which is why it's within quotes. And then plus the month, another semicolon, semicolon. No, sorry, a colon, even, not a semicolon, a colon. And then plus the seconds at the end. So this is basically going to say the day of the week, because we've got the day array in brackets day. So it will get the day of the week, then it will get the day of the month, then it will get the month, then it will get the year, then it will put a divide in, and then it will get the hours, the minutes, and the seconds live. By the time we're finished, it will be live, and it will automatically update every second to give you the live time. So that's basically what we're doing. by doing so. So then we're going to say underneath myclock.innerText. This time, instead of text content, it's going to be inner text equals, and then quotes again. And basically this is going to be exactly the same as the line above. It's going to be exactly the same, so you can just copy and paste that in, because it just needs to be exactly the same, and you need to make sure that they're exactly the same. Okay, so now we are almost finished. We just need to leave a couple of lines now within this function, and we are going to set timeout. Okay, just set timeout, and basically in here in quotes we're going to put render time, which is the function, and then comma, and then we're going to put 1000, a value of 1000, and basically that's in milliseconds, I believe. So in other words, every 1 second, because 1000 is equal to 1 second when we're talking about time in JavaScript, so every 1 second the function will be triggered and will start over. Then outside of the function, again we just need to trigger the function render time, which as you can see is the name of the function at the top as well. So just zoom out now. This is the whole JavaScript. This is all the JavaScript that we are going to need now to create our live date and time. But you've got to remember that calling the function at the end of this, at the end of the script, at the end of the function, you need to recall that function in order for it to automatically update. But if you follow this step by step now, in a minute, this should work. So file, save, refresh in the browser. Oh, there is an issue, and I know what that issue is now. We just need to go back into the code. And in our index.html file, what we need to do is we need to go into the body tag, and we need to add in here onload. So body onload equals, and then this function again, render time. So that as soon as the page loads, as soon as the page content loads, the time will be rendered. Okay, the function will be triggered in JavaScript, and the clock will appear, and it will start basically. And that's all we needed to do. So file, save our index.html, refresh in the browser, and you will now see that the date and time is successfully displayed at the top of the page in basic form, but we're going to get to the styling in a minute in CSS. But you can see it says Monday the 25th of January 2016, then there's a divide, and then there's the live time, and as you can see it says 28 minutes past 8 and 7 seconds, and the seconds automatically update because the function keeps triggering every 1 second, so it keeps looping every second, causing the time to automatically update with the latest minutes, hours, seconds, etc. So if we go back into our JavaScript in here, you can just add in commas after each day of the week. So Sunday, comma, Monday, comma, etc. within the quotes in your array for the days of the week. And this will, if we file, save and refresh in the browser, you will see that this adds a comma after the day of the week. So it makes it look a little bit more professional and more realistic. So you can do that if you want. Obviously you don't have to. That's completely up to you. So now we're ready for the styling. So we're going to create a new file now, and we're going to save it in our CSS file, and we're going to call it style.css. And in here, this is where we're going to put all the styling for our web page. So we need to target the container, because as you're aware, this container is stated here, because we've got div ID, but then we've got div class equals container, And for the class in our CSS file, we need to put a dot before the name that we are targeting, the name of the element that we're targeting. So dot container is targeting the class of container. So we're going to add in here a font family of Arial, a font weight of bold to make the text bold. We're going to add a colour of black, which is #0000000 6 zeros. We don't really need to add that because the default is black anyway, but we'll add that in. It's good practice. Then we're going to add a border of 1 pixel solid and black again. So we're going to have a black 1 pixel solid border. We're going to add a width of 340 pixels. We shouldn't need any more than that. It should be a good width for what we've got here. And then we're going to add a padding of 10 pixels. Now, with the padding, you could put 10px, 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 because it goes north, east, south, west, so top, right, bottom, left. So you can have various padding for each of the 4 sides of your div, your box, but that's completely up to you. But if they're all going to be the same, you can just leave it as 10 pixels. You don't need all 4 stated. So file, save, refresh in the browser, and you will now see that our date and time div, the container, has got some nice styling around it now. But there's still a little bit more that we can add to it, just to make it look that little bit more advanced and professional looking. So we're going to add a text align of center, file, save, and refresh in the browser. You will now see that our date and time text has been centrally aligned in the middle of the div. So now I think we'll add in a border radius. So you have to type -webkit-border-radius is equal to 10 pixels, -moz-border-radius is equal to 10 pixels, and then border-radius is 10 pixels. The WebKit is for Google Chrome, I believe. Moz is for Mozilla Firefox, and border radius, I believe, is for that's the default for border radius, I think. But anyway, you need that for the border radius, all 3 lines. And when we refresh in the browser, you can now see that our div, that our container around our date and time now has rounded corners of 10 pixel, and it's looking more professional now. So we're just about done with the styling now, but I'm just going to show you one little thing that we can add in here. You can get rid of the day of the week completely if you wanted. You don't have to have that in, but make sure you delete it on both of these lines here so that it's the same on both. File, save, and you will now see when we refresh in our browser that the day of the week has disappeared. So you don't have to have that in. You can just remove that if you want. You can even remove the lines of JavaScript which obviously, contains the variables which contain the days of the week as an array. You can also delete the seconds for the time, as we've done so here. File, save, and refresh in the browser, and the seconds disappear. So maybe you wanted it just to say 2033. Maybe you don't want the seconds. The minutes will update live, and so will the hours, but you just won't see the seconds. So you won't know when exactly they're going to update because you can't see the seconds. You could also, if you wanted, in this array for the months, you could shorten them and give them a little abbreviation. So rather than having the full month displayed, you can say have Jan, Feb, Mar, April, APR for April, May, and so on. So you've just got the 3 letters, which is sometimes displayed on websites. It's completely up to you. That makes the date a little bit shorter, as you can see in the browser. So now it says 25 Jan 2016, and you could do that if you wish. It's completely up to you. And we can also, if we wanted, we can change the day of the month, and we can swap that round with the month name. Okay, so for example, we can swap round the 25 with the Jan, so that it says Jan 25 instead. But make sure it's the same on both of these lines of code. They both have to be the same for it to work. So I'm just going to copy and paste this and paste it on the other line to make life easier. Remember to have quotes in between, and you need those plus signs as well to add on in the string. So when we refresh in the browser, you can see it now says Jan 25, 2016 instead. So you can change these round. You can have a play around with them. Whatever your preferences are, it's completely up to you. There's no right or wrong way of displaying the date. We can add commas in here after the day of the month within the quotes so that it appears as text. And when we refresh in the browser, you can see it now says Jan 25, 2016. And then there's a divide, and then there's the live time as well. So it's completely up to you. You can have a play around with this. You can customize it to how you want the date and time to be displayed on your web page, on your website, and have fun playing around with it and with the styling and things like that. So yeah, that's just about it then for this tutorial, guys. If you enjoyed this tutorial and you found it useful, don't forget to leave it a thumbs up. Leave any tutorial suggestions for any future tutorials in the comment section below, and I will try and get around to making those tutorials at some point to help you guys out. Subscribe if you haven't already to be notified as and when I upload new tutorials in the future, so that you guys don't miss out on any future tutorials. That's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys very soon.